You're listening to People Think About It. Delve into the world of relationships, business, and politics with hosts Lamar Clark, Dorshell Clark, and Dominique Hagler on People Think About It, where thought-provoking discussions abound.
Hey. Welcome to People Think About It. We're back and we have a guest in the house today, Dr. Kristle Shanell.
Yes.
And Dr. Kristle Shanell is an author. She's a life coach, singer, author. So she's very well-rounded, we can say. And we're going to share today. We're going to talk about in the midst of diagnosis.
Mm-hmm. In the midst of a diagnosis.
So we're going to just touch bases, and we're going to do a little friendly thing here to do a little icebreaker. You're going to dig in and get a question and read the question, and then we're just going to do a little icebreaker here.
Okay, so the question is, what are the best resources that helped you? My God, this is a good question, and I absolutely love this. The best resources that absolutely helped me in the midst of a diagnosis is God Himself. There are many tools and tips that I used along the way, me being a mental health counselor as well as a life coach. I have tools and tips that I've learned throughout the years of just experience, as well as, through education and going to school and learning what I needed to learn for in the midst of a diagnosis. Didn't know that I was going to have to be my own counselor and my own life coach throughout the process. But at the end of the day, God was my main counselor and life coach. Okay,
great answer. So one of the things I just want to touch on, because we have talked to people that are life coaches and things of this nature, and some people are proclaimed life coaches, whereas though when you talk about relationships and marriage and that, how do people I guess they certify themselves in being a marriage counselor or a life coach? How do they, because people that's out here looking for something, and a person say, we're proclaimed life coaches, or we're proclaimed marriage counselors.
Exactly. And thank you for asking that question. Sometimes you have people, unfortunately, that just give themselves titles, what I mean, without any type of certification. And not to knock that, because a lot of times out of people's experiences in life, definitely, they may qualify to be that life coach or that motivational coach. Or I met someone over the weekend and he said he's a happiness coach, and I said, yes, I like that, just to store happiness into people, help them throughout the process of what they're going through. But definitely, taking time out to educate yourself, whether or not that's going to school, whether or not that's taking different classes to get certified, to get certificates in different areas, then yes, that's what most people do to get themselves certified. But you have people where they can go online and pay to be a pastor for $50. Like, I never heard of that one too much. But at the end of the day, whatever works for whoever.
And I guess in all of it, because we have so many people in the world today proclaim to be something, and they give their own self titles,
exactly.
And like you say, sometimes like even in the midst of diagnosis, people sit back and diagnose things, and they diagnose it from their perspective.
Absolutely.
And then they give themselves these titles.
Absolutely.
Because either they worked through it or it did not work out. I mean, like I was scrolling through social media the other day, and it was a couple, a guy on there and a woman on there, and they were claiming, well, when it's over, it's over. But from a spiritual perspective, God tells you to battle.
That's it. That's it.
So they're proclaimed, well, if you know that it's over, but, from a spiritual perspective, they tell you to keep battling. Find this way, find that way. Even the words say to separate, to bring back reconciliation.
That's it.
So how do you feel about that?
I am in total agreement. I mean, of course, the key is to never give up. You know, there are so many different things that people are battling on a day-to-day basis. But a lot of times you have people that just actually want to just throw in the towel, you know, and you can't just do that. I like to use the phrase sometimes when I'm talking to my clients, and I say to them, you know, you have some people that may have given up hope, and they decided that they wanted to take their life the day before. But tomorrow could have been the day that they got blessed with $1 million.
Right.
And not to say that money solves all problems, but listen, money solves a lot of problems, right? So you missed out on that money because you took your life the day before, which could have made your life a little bit better. So
my next question to you would be that, you know, we live in a world of social media, and I talk about this a lot on this show. Because how social media has come to a point of dictating a lot of people's lives. Yes. And what you see online is sort of a false perception to me. It's a facade. Because most people post online only the good, the great. I'm vacation. I'm in Europe. I'm in Paris. You know, I'm doing all these things, and then coming home to misery or coming home to and abuse. We can touch it a little bit. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah. Or coming home to abuse, whether it's mental, physical, or financially. That's it. You know, they're coming home to that. That's it. But they posting these pictures where they're smiling and they, you know, happy-go-lucky. In the dark, behind closed doors, there's dark days. You know, they may be in their homes with the blinds closed. You just never know what people are going through. But yes, they do put on a facade for the social media platforms. And we have to just live in our moment. Live in our moment. Every day is not going to be a good day. God didn't promise us a rose garden. You know, not to say we're not going to go through trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, as I always tell people, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Right. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. No matter what you're going through, no matter what it may look like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, because we had this one life coach on the show, and she said something to me that was very profound. She said, you know, how most people say, you know, it's 50-50 or 100-100. And she said, well, life isn't really like that. Because if you and I were a couple, I might have had a bad day at work. And you might have to pull the 80 and I only got 20. Yeah, listen. I might have got 20. And or I might got the 80 and you only got 20. That's what it's about. So that's the true balance in life. That's it. Because I might not have my 50. That's it. You know, I might not have my 100. But you may have it tomorrow. I might have it tomorrow. That's it. You know, because tomorrow could be a brighter day. That's it. You know, so in talking and moving forward in this platform. So tell me a little bit about what that means in the midst of diagnosis. In the midst of a diagnosis, I wrote this book and I released it September the 8th of 2023, which was my 1-year divorce celebration. I got married and divorced in this pandemic. My husband went to Nigeria, married someone else, left me in $100,000 worth of debt in the middle of a cancer diagnosis. So God gave me the title. I was driving one day. At first, I was hesitant because I was like, should I write the book, right? Should I tell my story? Should I tell my testimony? And God said, absolutely. And I had some people that said I should not, right? For different reasons of their own or different reasons in general. And I decided to share my story and to share my testimony. The book is written, it's a mental health book as well as a snippet of my story, my testimony. You guys pay close attention to the title, In the Midst of a Diagnosis, because you will definitely see more about in the midst of a diagnosis. This is not just the end. God gave me and allowed me to go through this this trial, this tribulation for a reason. And my job is to do what he asked me to do. So the book talks about my story. It talks about my testimony. I got some awesome affirmations in there. Listen, one of the chapters, page 32, it says, my husband went to Nigeria and married someone else. That was the actual title of the book, right? Or not of the book, of that particular chapter. But yeah, that's a little bit about in the midst of a diagnosis. And I give a little snippet of the story and a little snippet of the testimony. And like I said, it's more to come. So in today's society, like I say, with the social media, with the get rich quick and all that. Yeah. So we talk a lot, and I hear a lot of people in today's society talk a lot about mental health.
Yes.
And I find like mental health, talking about mental health, because we as a people, as a black people, we look at it as a negative connotation for somebody to say, hey, I'm going to a psychiatrist, or I'm going to a therapist, or what have you. So when we talk about mental health, because I think there's different levels of mental health. You know, like anxiety.
Yes.
You know, some people suffer anxiety
attacks, panic attacks, PTSD.
It's just like you say, some people have the mindset, I want to kill myself.
That's it.
You know?
That's it.
So we got different levels. And how would you say that you would tell people to deal with the different levels of mental anxiety or mental health that they are dealing with?
Absolutely. And it's, again, me being a mental health counselor, it's amazing because I suffered with anxiety myself. I suffered through anxiety attacks, panic attacks, PTSD. I am 43 young years old, and I'll be 44 years old in December. But I tell people sometimes 29.
Oh, I was just curious. I'm a December person.
Awesome. When's yours?
The 5th.
December 5th.
Okay.
And my son is December the 11th.
Okay.
But yes, so with someone that has lived that life of anxiety attacks, panic attacks, PTSD, the trauma that people experience, they don't even realize what happens when people go through trauma and drama and different things of that nature. So I used to suffer with it as a little girl because I was losing so many family members. In my younger years, when I was like in middle school, high school, I just was losing family members. Like it seemed like every week it was somebody. So I remember me making a collage on my wall with all the obituaries of everybody that passed away on my wall. And on a day-to-day basis, I would go to that wall and talk to my grandmother. I would go and talk to my, I'm not going to cry. I would talk to my grandfather. And during that time, I lost a dear friend. She was my best friend at the time. She told me she was going to clean up her room. She would call me back. Needless to say, I'm still waiting on that call. She died from a brain aneurysm. So just a lot of traumatic things happen in life over the years, and people don't understand unless they physically went through it.
And that would be my next question to you. Because, like I said, we talk about mental health. How does a person recognize whether they have an anxiety, whether they having that thought of harming themselves, or whether they had that thought of harming someone else? How does a person recognize? Because a person, you could be in a relationship and you could tell somebody, hey, I'm feeling a little stressed. And if they want to get their point across, they don't care anything about your stress.
That's it.
If you are in that relationship and you say that I'm feeling anxiety, but you can't explain it, you know, so how would you say you address that, or how would you get a person to even understand what you're dealing with from a mental capacity? So
first, I would definitely say, of course, you know, a lot of people like to put stigma on therapy and counseling and going to see a psychiatrist. My first encouragement would definitely be for someone to seek someone that can assist them, whether or not it's a mental health counselor, whether or not it's a psychiatrist, whether or not it's your pastor at church, you know, someone that you can truly trust to say, okay, I trust this person. I feel like I'm in a safe place, a safe space with this particular person, so I can share what's going on with me. Now, sometimes when you're in relationships and different things of that nature, your partner may not really understand what you're going through, and you may not understand what they're going through, because during those times, if you're not on one accord, 9 times out of 10, each partner is not seeing what's going on with the other partner. So therefore, you have to bring somebody in that can intervene on behalf of yourself, like as well as that partner. Exactly, like a mediator. So again, whoever that may be, it could be, you know, someone, your mother, your father, you know, just someone that you definitely trust. But the key is to try your very best, to recognize it yourself. But sometimes when people are going through things, they can't recognize what they're going through. It takes a close friend or a brother or a sister or a pastor or aunt or uncle that may see it better and be able to just kind of come to you and say, hey, you know, I see you've been in the room for 2 weeks, you know, what's going on? Right. You know what I mean? So it varies from every situation.
And I
really does.
I totally agree with you to the point that when you saying that a person is going through something that it's not necessarily you run to a therapist, you run to a counselor, or you run to a mental health person. I think that sometimes
run to God.
Even
run to God. But that's the first priority. You know?
I think sometimes, like you say, when you go to somebody that you feel like you can confide in, then the key thing here is that they're going to be honest with you.
Yes.
Because
and they're not going to judge you.
Right. They're not going to judge you. They're going to be honest with you. They're going to sit back and be truthful as they possibly can with you. That's it. And I think that sometimes we don't do that because we don't have a lot of truthful people. We don't have people we live in such a fake society that we have people that say, hey, I'm your friend.
It's amazing.
And I'm telling you, when you're back up against the wall,
that's it. They're no way to be found.
So I agree with you that, but you know, like I said, there's different levels of it. So sometimes you may need that professional help.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, hey, like you say, you might talk to a mother, a father, a brother, a cousin, or a friend, and you get that relief right then and there because that's all you had to do is release that tension off of you.
But let me say this too, because everybody comes with their own trials. Everybody comes with their own tribulations, right? So at the end of the day, yes, it is good to be able to get that thing off of you, but then you have to be mindful about the person that you are speaking to as well, because you could be overwhelming to that particular person. You can cause that person anxiety attack and panic attacks from what you're telling them. And a lot of times, you know, people don't take on other people's problems, and you have people that are compassionate like myself that do, you know, and again, being in the mental health field, sometimes I'd be like, Lord, was I really supposed to be in this field? Because when I tell you the compassion that I have for people, it's up there with God, you know, honestly speaking. And the next thing you know, when I'm maybe counseling somebody and the tears falling from my face, and I'm like, okay, girl, you got to toughen this thing up. You know, you can't be in here crying. You're crying and the patient or the client not crying.
I feel as though we live in a world that's not truthful. A lot of people don't want to be truthful to you.
Absolutely.
You know, and
absolutely.
I think that
I deal with that a lot.
Even when you're going through your mental anxiety or mental health issue, I think that you have to be truthful with that
You have to be truthful.
And a lot of people
you have to
are not truthful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If I'm going to sit back and be truthful how I'm feeling, and if I'm being truthful with you how I'm feeling, then you need to be back truthful to me.
Just tell me what the truth.
The truth is, right? And I think that, like I say, you know, I'm a big advocate about this whole social media thing. That I don't find anything wrong with it, but I think that you have to do it in moderation.
You have to have a balance.
Yeah, I think that you don't believe everything you see on there.
That's right.
I think that, you know, what number one kick is when they say reality show and it's not reality.
Yeah, it's not.
You know, it's not reality because really most people don't live like what you see on TV.
Yeah.
And the one thing that hurts me, especially black reality shows, it's always a fight and a battle.
Yeah.
So they have no conflict resolution.
Yeah.
So if you get in tune to this, that's your conflict. That's your resolution to cause conflict and chaos because that's what you see. And you embed it into your spirit.
Yeah, and it's very toxic.
You know, so you know, it's just like even from a spiritual perspective and a godly perspective, God even tells us to go when we're going through trying times to go talk to other believers.
That's it.
You know,
that's it. So that you can believe again.
I'm 100% with you that your first step should be towards God.
That's it. That's it. I'm telling you, if I didn't have him throughout this process, I don't know where I would be. There were many, many, many dark days, and I and it's just amazing. I tell people, to God be the glory for all the things that he has done. You know, what I do also would like to just kind of encourage the listening audience that I talk about this on a day-to-day basis, you know, focusing on the self-care, focusing on self-love, focusing on self-acceptance, focusing on self-worth. and your mental health. It's so important for us to do so, because if not, it's just sad to see what really happens, behind closed doors, if people don't focus on those things. And like I said earlier, just to have a balance, I tell people, take you a vacation, schedule you a massage, everybody should have quiet time for themselves, whether or not that's 30 minutes, 1 hour, just whoever, just leave me alone for 1 hour and let me do whatever I want to do, whether or not that's soaking in a tub of water, whether or not that, and I take a lot of spiritual baths. So, just doing a spiritual bath, whatever you feel you need to do for you. Drink you a glass of wine. I ain't say get drunk, okay? But drink you a glass of wine, whatever that looks like for you. Spend time, reading your Bible and getting into the Word, because, again, if I didn't have God, I don't know where I would be.
And I think a lot of people don't know how to love themselves.
Yeah, they have to.
I think that a lot of people search for love in other people. Yeah. And
you get disappointed.
When that person can't project that love that you wanted, you're disappointed in them.
And yourself.
And yourself. Mm-hmm. But I think that you become more disappointed in them because they're not giving you what you want. Yeah. Yeah. And this may be a little bit going to the left, but I just got to ask you this as being a mental health counselor and a life coach counselor and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. They had this thing in this book they had, I called the 5 love languages, right?
I love it.
And sometimes I just really learned what that means when they say, "Hey, you alpha, physical." Because I thought it was about what you want to receive. Right. But anyway, I guess the question I have to you is this: as I think us as human beings, sometimes we can't meet those love languages. Yeah. I think that. Yeah, your love language might be affirmation. Your love language might be giving, right? But then I think, like for me, I think I'm one of the people that I'm all of it.
Yeah, and that's for me as well.
I think that I'm all of it. Absolutely. And sometimes people just want you to pinpoint one. No. But I'm not not one. I'm all of it. That's it. And sometimes I'm loving, I'm caring, I'm affectionate. Yeah. Sometimes I don't want to be affectionate. I don't want it. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like I say, I think that we as people, we get so programmed into how the world say we should be, or how the world say you should be as a couple, or how the world say you should be married. Yeah. I think that you have to take those things, and you take and utilize some of those things, but you have to take and do what works for you. That's it. Because this couple over here, it might work for them, but it might not work for you. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. Don't get so in tune to what the world say or everybody else saying. Get in tune to what works for you. Yeah, that's true. And one other thing that pops up that is very important that I want to just kind of share also with the listening audience. I'm going to encourage you guys to please, don't get into relationships unless you're 100% healed. Because you have people that they have this saying where they say, okay, if you break up with your ex, the best way to get over the ex is to get under another. And the devil is a liar. You hear me? Because at the end of the day, if you decide to just move on very quickly to someone else, then what tends to happen is that you get into another relationship or another situationship, friendship, broken, exactly. Right. And you tend to attract the same kind of person.
You tend to attract the same kind of person, and you have people that are innocent, bystanders, right? But unfortunately, because you haven't healed, and you bring that foolishness into their lives and then just traumatize it, But there's a thing called karma, and there's a thing that is, as they say, what goes around comes around, what comes around goes around. I use this phrase sometimes, and my mom hates it. I say sometimes, every dog has a day. And every dog will bark, which pretty much means the same thing as what goes around comes around. And people don't realize that if it doesn't come around to you, it's coming around to your children or your children's children or the people that you love the most, So just want to encourage people, definitely, if you are not totally 100% healed, please, please, please just stay away from people, because the innocent people, the innocent bystanders does not deserve that pain and that hurt and, all the things that particular person put them through.
Right, I know, and I'll speak on for me. It's like when you talk about having that quiet time to yourself, or going and just doing whatever for self.
Yeah,
it's like, I think that's so. When you really get in touch with your spiritual being.
That's it.
When you have that quiet time, Like, I'm the kind of person, a multitude of things can be going on around me.
Yeah.
I could be on my iPad, the TV can be on, but I can still be in quiet time.
That's it.
But to somebody else, it may be projected something else.
Yes.
But I know that I'm in my quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, sometimes I know that I get, when I get into certain situations, I may say to my mate, leave me alone. And it's not so much for them, it's for me. Because I know that I can escalate, my bucket can run over.
Right.
And sometimes people don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I think that two of the points that you really made that really stand out, that people have to learn to love themselves.
They have to love themselves.
People have to learn to have that quiet time.
Yeah.
And to the number one thing, you got to find a pathway to God. And that's whatever God you serve. Because I'm not here to tell you, because the truth is the light, and the light will shine.
That's it. That's it.
So I sit back and I tell people, you know what? Find God. Find love within yourself. Find peace.
That's it.
Because things happen in threes.
That's it. It happens in threes. Threes times three times three times three. And that's how it's been for me over the last few years. But as I say, to God be the glory for all the things he has done. Yeah. So
let me ask this. How can people, if they want to have your services, or if they want to get your book, something like that, how do they reach out to you? Absolutely.
So they can reach out to me a number of ways. My website is www.thekristleshanellshow.com, and I'll spell that because, of course, my mother was very unique back in the days. The, of course, is T-H-E. Kristle is K-R-I-S-T-L-E. Shanell is Shanell, and show SHOW, thekristleshanellshow.com. So all of my detailed information is on the website. My direct telephone number is on the website. You can purchase your book on the website. You can purchase through me. You can purchase it on Amazon. I always encourage people that if you are interested in getting an autographed copy of my book, In the Midst of a Diagnosis, you can definitely purchase it through me. I'll send that autographed copy to you directly from me. Or, some people may not want to share their information, so I understand that too. My book is on Amazon. It is In the Midst of a Diagnosis by Dr. Kristle Shanell Jenkins. Feel free to get it there as well, but it won't be autographed if you purchase it from Amazon. Amazon, I love Amazon, but of course, they still have to get their profit. When you purchase directly from me, then of course, that allows me to get my full profit of the purchasing of the book. So, and of course, if there's any services that you may be in need of, feel free again to send me a message through my website, or you can call directly, or send me an email.
Okay. And how long have you been a mental health counselor or a marriage counselor? How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for 6 years, but I tell people since I was in middle school.
Okay.
When I was in middle school, I knew I wanted to be a counselor.
Okay.
I used to have people that were way older than myself that would just be calling me, asking me questions. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not even married. So this is a question for a married person. But I was always the go-to person that everybody came to for questions and answers. And I just knew that with a passion, that's what I wanted to do. So it's my passion.
Right. And I always say this. Life is not about age. It's about wisdom and knowledge.
Exactly.
We know how old Jesus Christ was, 12 years old.
That's it.
So life is about wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah.
Life, to me, age is just a growth thing.
Yeah.
That I go through things and I learn through life, and I can say I've been here 40 years and learned something. Mm-hmm. But you can be here 40 years and not get a lick of wisdom.
That's it.
And we want that wisdom. Or you can learn
from a child.
Right. Well, we like I say, because life is not about age, it's about wisdom and knowledge. Yeah. The more knowledgeable that you make yourself, like I tell people all the time, You know, it's like King Solomon when God came to. I mean, this was the wealthiest man in the world.
Yeah.
But God said, "What do you want, my son?" And he said, "Give me wisdom and knowledge, so I may save my people."
That's it.
That's what he wanted: wisdom and knowledge.
That's it.
So that goes back to the beginning of the conversation. Yeah, money is great, but money ain't everything. The wisdom and knowledge can get you the money, help you keep the money.
That's it. That's it.
know?
And that's what you need. Absolutely.
So we want to thank you once again for being our guest here on People Think About It. Our platform is a non-judgmental platform. You know, we're just different people perspective. And the biggest thing is, as you see, the word think is very big. Yeah. That's what we want people to do. Just think.
That's it.
Just think.
That's
you know,
it.
Because a lot of people don't take their time to do it.
That's
and you can reach us at peoplethinkaboutit.com. You can go to people, if you want to reach out to us at peoplethinkaboutit@gmail.com. You can go to our platform at peoplethinkaboutit.com. If you want to come on as a guest, you can register as a guest. Usually we have our guests, we have them more than once. We always have a comeback, you know. So we will have you and invite you once again. And we just want to thank you for coming to People to Think About It.
You have been listening to People Think About It.
Thank you.
Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends so that you never miss an episode. A new episode drops every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Thank you for listening.